As you guys know, I think light is the most important thing in photography. It's the one thing I prioritize the most when it comes to my photography, but it's not the most important thing by itself. Lighting is super important and having good quality lights comes with that, but what if I told you that that's not the only thing you need to prioritize? One of the things that I see a lot of people do is they go and spend a ton of money on these really nice lights, but the photos still don't turn out that well, and the reason is because they don't spend the time to actually learn how to shape light with modifiers. Modifiers are just as important as the light itself because the modifiers are what's going to take the light, change it, modify it, shape it, do whatever you want with it, and then that's what's actually going to show up in the photos. If you don't have any modifiers on your lights, it's going to look like any other light, just with slightly higher color accuracy, which, if we're being honest, a lot of people don't actually notice the difference between color accuracy if you're just an everyday person. Now, if you're working in a studio environment and you've been surrounded by really expensive lights your whole life, you can obviously pick out which photos were taken with slightly less quality lighting. But at the end of the day, if you use your lights the right way with the right modifiers, you can make it so that even low quality lights can turn out to look really good on camera, and people won't necessarily be trying to critique that you weren't using very expensive lights and that the light quality is a little off because they'll be too fascinated by the way that you were able to modify your light. This is a true example to a lot of my work because up until recently I was shooting with very cheap lights that had horrible CRI and just made skin tones just not the best looking, but the way that I shaped my light and the way that I made my light look completely blew away people, and they didn't even second guess that I was using cheap lights because of the way that I was modifying the light with modifiers. So in today's video, I'm gonna be talking about my favorite light modifiers so that you guys can go and pick them up and start modifying your light to make it look a lot better than it is now, because at the end of the day, if you can shape your light however you want it to, the possibilities are endless and you'll have a lot more control over the way that your image looks. This can help you out with your creativity as well as help you out with client work and just everything in between. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and show you what my favorite light modifiers are. Before we start this video, I want to go ahead and say thank you to today's sponsor, which is Zyro. Zyro is an all-in-one web builder that is the best bang for buck on the market. You can get a website for as little as $3 a month, and because they've partnered with me, if you guys sign up with my code MoodyDarkRoom or click the first link in the description below, you guys will get an additional 3 months off on any of their 1-year packages, which is an absolute steal because you're just gonna be getting so much bang for your buck. Zyro offers everything that the competition offers at a much more affordable rate. So if you're a beginning photographer and you just want to have a portfolio website, I would suggest getting Zyro because you can get your portfolio website for $3 a month, which means that you can have a portfolio website for literally the cost of a coffee. If you guys are considering thinking of getting a website built, I would highly consider you guys checking out Zyro because they're the most affordable on the market. They have great templates, they have great AI technology, and they have partnered with me and are giving you guys an additional 3 months with any of their 1-year subscriptions. So if you guys are in the market for a website, I highly suggest Zyro. If you guys want to see how I built my website, go ahead and look up my website building video, which was a few videos ago. I used Zyro for that, and I will show you guys exactly how you guys can get your website up and running in as little as 15 minutes using Zyro. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the video. I'll be going from least favorite to most favorite light modifiers. If you guys want to skip to a certain part in the video, I'll have all the timestamps in the timeline as well as in the description below, so you guys can jump to a certain modifier and you guys can learn a little bit more about why I like that modifier. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into my least favorite modifier that I own. At first, when I first got this thing, I was like, I'm gonna use this every single day. This is gonna up me to the next level. This is gonna be crazy. I'm gonna go crazy with this thing. And then I ended up using it a couple of times. I'm like, you know what, this ain't really that, it ain't really all that. It's not as cool as I thought it was going to be, and it isn't really that helpful. And what I am talking about is a Snoot. Now obviously I don't have the most expensive Snoot. I have the cheap Amazon one just because I wanted to try it out, but this Snoot is, you know, it can get the job done if you need it to, but it severely hinders the actual light output, and I'll explain why in a second. A Snoot is basically just something that takes the light and shapes it into something else. And from my understanding, there's like really expensive Snoots. I'm not gonna go spend a ton of money on a Snoot, like that's not really what I'm into, but Snoots definitely do, you know, have a really good role in photography because you can use them to shape your light exactly how you want it to by having different shadows in the front of it that will cast different lights onto your actual image or onto the backdrop or onto the subject or whatever you want. Now the one that I got was the cheapest one that I could find on Amazon, just so I could kind of test drive it to see if I wanted to dip my toes into this Snoot world. And so the Snoot that I got was this $20, $25 Amazon one. It's a very basic Snoot, but from what I saw on the reviews and from the other Snoots, they basically do the same thing. And now, that sounds really cool and all, but when you actually use this and when you're actually putting this on your light, you'll notice that there's a huge decrease in the brightness of your light, because the Snoot is just a black cone, and it kind of just like takes the light and like absorbs it until it's like exits out the other hole. So it does reduce the amount of light that's actually passing through the Snoot, and this is going to ultimately affect the way that your light looks on the subject, because you're going to get a lot less light, which is kind of a bummer. I was really expecting it to be more like a sharp condensed circle, not this like soft kind of circle. But I mean, if you need something that's like quick and easy, this is definitely something you should get. And even though I don't absolutely love it, I do still use it in a lot of my photo shoots. I don't actually use it for the purpose that I intended to when I originally got it, which was for like that spotlight effect. I use it more as like a fill light if I wanted to kind of highlight a certain part of the photo, or I also use it like as a hair light if I want to just get a little bit of like a rim light going, because it won't blast the entire figure of your model. It'll just kind of get a specific part that you want illuminated a little bit more, which I think is pretty helpful. And I actually have one set up somewhere in here with the Snoot already on. But let's move on to the second modifier, which was pretty close of a tie with my first modifier that I'll talk about. But this is the Fresnel Lens. Now, Fresnel lenses are really, really cool because they do what the Snoot was supposed to do, which is they concentrate the light into an adjustable beam. And keyword adjustable, it allows you to change the actual throw of the light itself, which can give you way more possibilities when it comes to actually using it in creative situations, because you can get a big circle, you can get a small circle, you can get a condensed circle, a soft circle, whatnot. And these do also come with gels. I am using this model of the Fresnel Lens. Again, I'll link everything in the description and below. It's a really cheap one, but it's actually really, really high quality. I've actually recommended it to a few friends and they've loved it as much as I have. And you can get it for about 40 bucks. And basically it's a Fresnel lens. It takes your light, it condenses it into like a kind of spotlight type beam, except this is a adjustable one, so you can have it be wider or you can have it more concentrated. I think the most concentrated setting, it's up to 10 times concentration, which is pretty good. But this allows me to get a condensed beam. I can use this as like an actual spotlight. I can light up the entire model. I can light up a model that's like 40 feet away. Like, this thing is pretty good. I like it because it's, again, really cheap. It's really affordable. I can take it with me everywhere I go. Like, it's really small and it comes with gels. So if I'm using one of my lights that doesn't have a built-in RGB function, I can just slap on one of the gels that comes with the lights and I can then have a colored spotlight look, which just adds that much more creativity to your actual workflow. This light modifier by itself is really cool, but I think a really powerful combination is using this with the light that I just reviewed, which is the Ambiful FL80 RGB, because that light has built-in RGB functionality. It's actually the light back here lighting up the backdrop. That's at like 1%, by the way. And basically, when you combine these two, you can have RGB Fresnel as well as just normal Kelvin Fresnel spotlight look, which I think is a really cool combo, and it makes it so you don't have to swap out those gels. But because it does come with those gels, I can use them with my other lights that don't have built-in RGB functionality. So thumbs up to this modifier attachment. And let's go ahead and dive into my favorite light modifier. If you guys have been following my channel, you guys probably saw this coming, but it is the barn doors. Barn doors are the number one most important thing for me, because these allow me to shape light exactly how I want it to be. I can make the light hide a little bit more behind the subject. I can make the light be only behind the subject. I can illuminate just the eyes. I can illuminate just the body. I can illuminate basically exactly where I want to and adjust the intensity of it with the barn doors. Barn doors are one of those attachments that are basically universally recognized, and a lot of light manufacturers have these for their LED panels, which is really cool. They don't work as good with LED panels as they do with something like a COB light, but the fact that they're almost everywhere is really helpful, because if you guys can learn how to use barn door lights, you can have an endless possibility of lighting setups, just because of how versatile they are. I've done so much work with just barn doors before I even got any of my other light attachment modifiers, and I was able to create some really, really cool stuff. And I highly suggest you guys look into learning how to do barn door lighting. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want me to make a video explaining how I use barn doors and some different techniques that I use to light up my subjects, as well as how I use my other light modifiers, because if you guys know how to use these light modifiers, you can get really, really cool effects and you can make really, really unique lighting. So yeah, barn doors are my number one favorite modifier, because barn doors always end up being the most useful when it comes to any photo shoot. As much as I love the other two modifiers and as much as I love the Fresnel lens, barn doors will always be the #1 place in my heart until a cooler modifier comes along. Not only is it versatile, but it can be used in almost any situation, and the fact that you can control where your shadows land as well as where your brightness lands is the biggest pro of using barn doors. And I highly suggest you guys get some barn door modifiers if you don't already have them. The ones I use for my lights are, again, from Amazon. They're like 20 bucks. They come with gels. They're the Godox ones. So they come with like magnetic gels that just slap onto the barn doors themselves, which is really convenient. I don't necessarily use these gels that much, but when I do need them, you know, I can just throw these on, and they're also compatible with normal gels as well. So these barn doors that I use are just like 25 bucks, I think. I'll have them in the description below. I highly suggest you guys get some of these if you guys don't already have barn doors, because barn doors are super, super helpful and my favorite light modifier. If you don't already follow me on social media, make sure you follow me at MoodyDarkRoom. That is on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Literally all of my social medias are at MoodyDarkRoom. Links will be in the description below as well, and you guys can stay up to date with me. I'm a lot more active on Instagram than I am on YouTube. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. See ya.